Welcome to Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy, a literary podcast where we deep dive into the writing of your favorite novels. This is Jack.
And I'm Amy, and during this season of Book Club, we're stepping away on Thursdays to explore topics we've recently written about on the Subtext Society Journal.
This week, we're discussing the romance genre and whether it sets up unrealistic expectations about love and relationships for readers.
The Subtext Society Journal is a space for critical thinking and cultural reflection on the genres that are too often dismissed, including romance, romantasy, fanfiction, and the narratives that live rent-free in our hearts and minds.
We're creating a bridge between academic analysis and the everyday reading experience, between highbrow literary commentary and the deeply personal way books shape who we are.
We publish thoughtful essays from our readers ourselves and guest contributors that explore the moral questions, genre evolutions, and cultural conversations happening in real time.
We are redefining what deserves serious attention in publishing, and we're doing it with feeling.
The views expressed in this episode are entirely our own and are not meant to represent the larger opinion of the bookish community. This podcast is a discussion, shared to spark thought and conversation. Readers and listeners are encouraged to share their own analysis and thoughts.
Explicit language, as well as themes of sex, violence, abuse, depression, self-harm, and death will recur throughout this podcast. Listener discretion is advised. We are here to talk about my article. It's called The Impact of Romance Novels on Real-Life Expectations. And with the underline of, do romance novels give women unrealistic expectations when it comes to men? And I posted a clip of that on just us me reading it, and Milica joined. Joined in portrait? Wait, Milica joined in portrait orientation?
Just the way she's probably watching the live.
Lovely.
We have 3 people.
Wow.
Hello, if you want to join us in the chat, please feel free. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Patreon was mad at me.
Yep.
And Riverside was mad at me, and everybody's mad at me.
I'm not. I love you. Yes. So this is a live in case, if this is in recording and they're like, who are you guys talking to? We're talking to our Patreon subscribers, and this is live for them. And we are recording this December 1st. When the hell this gets published, no one knows. But we're here to talk about this article. And a little while ago, we posted this video, and it's me reading this article. And the first sentence is, do romance novels give us unrealistic expectations? Someone sent a DM so fast saying, yes, they do. And then they wrote back, sorry, I replied before watching the whole thing. And I was like, okay, which, by the way, has been a number of times. People have sent something really aggressively and they're like, hey, sorry, I didn't watch the rest of the video. And I'm like, you know what?
Okay.
No, it's not. Because my feelings were hurt.
No. Engagement.
It's true. It's true. So this was an interesting one because this is a subject that I have been considering since the day my ex broke up and I went into full-fledged romance novels. And I was like, I'm going to drown. My ex and I broke up. This is years ago, guys. And then my grandparents died and I was like, I'm going to drown myself in romance novels. And then I kept talking about it in therapy and it was a very interesting subject. And then something happened this summer where I just was like, this is a lot of personal things, but this is where it came from. So just giving context, I kind of had this over the years, more realizations of yes, I do deserve love. And then this summer, something kind of shifted more into that, clicked more into place. And I started dating someone who was a very good guy. To not continue seeing him, but for all intents and purposes, he treated me fantastically, treated Amy fantastically, to a really great lunch. And I just kind of had this moment of, did romance novels train me for this? And I have gotten into arguments with random men on trains, another thing that Amy was there for. And and I don't live my life without Amy there one way or another. And it just kind of came to this moment of, do romance novels give us unrealistic expectation? I have a format, but Amy, do you want to
Oh, it's just
Jump in.
so funny. So Jack knows I just came from therapy to jump into this live.
I know.
And I told my therapist the title of today's live and the irony of what I was talking about with her and this topic. And when I said the topic is, do romance novels create unrealistic expectations for real life relationships? She's like, yes. And I said, I didn't say anything actually. I was just like, okay, all right. But
Yeah.
we've got more to talk about.
So let's go into the stereotypes. Like, let's go into the things that when people say, do romance novels give us unrealistic expectations? And I think part of that has to do with the stereotypes when it comes to MMCs. And, pretty consistently, like, I think it's safe to say unanimously, they're over 6 feet tall, probably over
Mm-hmm.
6'2". They have six packs. They have the biggest penis that how are they ever going to fit inside me? But yet somehow feels great. They are billionaires. Millionaires are for the weak now. Like now
Yeah.
our MMCs are billionaires and are, secret princes and they're skilled fighters and all these, intense dramatic concepts. Like they are the most insane stereotypes you can get in an MMC.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, though, I appreciate that the FMC doesn't have to be that.
I agree.
But, those stereotypes, like, let's forget the throbbing member. What is it about that is so appealing to us? I saw a reel yesterday of these two women who were getting ready for their Halloween party. And as a subtle way to measure men's height, they put a handprint where the top of the middle finger was at 6 feet on the glass sliding door. So that anytime a man stood near it, they could tell whether or not he was above 6 feet. And I laughed at that because that's hilarious
Yeah.
and kind of genius. But at the same time, all but one of my brothers are under 6 feet. And, their wives think they're a catch. Whether or not I feel the same is questionable. But what is it that these things represent?
Yeah.
And go ahead.
It's a reflection on the objectification that women have experienced their entire life from the dawn of time to, me caveman, you cave woman, you have women like childbearing hips, right? Like it goes from the dawn of time of women being objectified that now we kind of get a place where we can objectify men. Like it's a little fun when the tables have turned.
Yeah. And to go on that, something that I thought of only because of the conversation we had yesterday talking about Air of Fire, some of these things, the wealth, the height, the stabbiness, these things represent security.
Yeah.
And for the first time, we're able to objectify men based on how secure we think they can make us feel. Just like they
Great way.
objectify us, whether, we can give them babies.
Yeah.
Or, look good on their arm. We're saying, okay, well, what can you do for me?
Can you be secure? Can you be the person who can protect me? And again, I feel like there's such a distortion between reality and what happens in these books because you have, and I don't want to say it's the same thing with men because I know there's plenty of men who aren't like, I'm only going to date women who are under 5'5" and weigh 120 pounds. However, there are way more content creators, male content creators, saying that type of shit than there are female content creators who are saying, I will only date men who are over 6 feet and may have 100,000, make over 200K a year, right?
Yeah.
There are men who have podcasts entirely dedicated to being what do they call it? High quality male and how to attract a high quality woman. And women under the age of 25 have lost their fertility and you shouldn't mess with them. So there's been like a lot of like definition within quote unquote male culture, but we'll call it red pill because like this is one that I will 100% say not all men, just these very like, shit group, which is surprisingly bigger than people realize. But it's one of those things that you don't hear women creating podcasts around these things. You don't have women coming around saying that they'll only date men who are over 6 feet tall. You might see that, but realistically, like, I love an idea of a strong man. I don't think I've only gone on a date with one strong man.
Yeah.
And I made him pick me up.
Yeah. And it wasn't a long-term relationship.
No, it was not. And it's one of those things where it's like, here are these qualities that women in fantasy can indulge in, but in practice do not indulge in.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm telling everybody in the chat, feel free to send us any thoughts you may have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it goes into like, what is it about this that threatens men? Like, what is it about this idea that, they have to be strong, they have to have money, they have to have all these things? What is it about that that makes them threaten? But before we answer that, there is a comment in the chat.
Oh yeah, Beth says, came to say Riverside is always an issue. We've had to write it out and share so people can copy paste it in a browser instead of clicking through the apps. We've done 2 lives where it was Riverside and Patreon. Perfect. Right now it's not working.
We'll figure it out for next time. It was just one of those, we don't know until we go live, and then we're like, shit, we're supposed to be live. Yeah, they changed something. Thank you, Beth. So what is it that men find threatening about these things? Because again, women have been held to the standard of, I have to weigh 120 pounds. I have to be under 5'4". I have to be perpetually 25 for the rest of my life. But like, you put a little bit on men and suddenly they're not happy with it.
Well, how much of that has to do with society in general? And I believe this to be true of my own brothers. I believe this to be true of one of our friends. They've been catered to by the women in their lives, their mothers, their sisters, for so long that, what do you mean I have to put in work to be a catch? I love my brother. I've tried to tell him for years, like, dude, you got to work on yourself. You can't be bitter that nobody wants to date you. You're not doing anything to make yourself a desirable partner.
Yeah.
Playing video games all day is not desirable. I play video games, guys. And my brothers play video games.
But you don't play it all day. You got shit to do. It's funny because I feel like the concept of working on yourself has been entirely a quote unquote female trait. Therapy, makeup, working out, dieting. These are things that we've considered to be like working on ourselves. And I just saw a video of a man talking to a woman just saying like, hey, what are the things that these women, expect us to do? She goes, go to therapy. And the guy was immediately saying, well, that's a girl thing. Guys don't do that. And it's just, talk about the least sexy thing I've ever heard. It's the amount of guys that I have gone out with that I'm like, would you ever go to therapy? And they've said no. And they're like, but I totally support you going.
Oh, well, that's not good enough. Sorry.
Yeah, like, you got to actually go. Okay, we got a comment.
Yes, Beth says, I'm in my post-men era. I'm 56, and for the first time since I was 13, I'm single for 2 years. For the first time, the focus is me, and I doubt I'll ever date again.
Taking care of yourself is the most important thing that we can ever do in our lifetime.
Prioritizing ourselves. Like, I think we're better at providing to the people we love when we've taken the time to prioritize ourselves.
Because you can't. Like, no one's going to take care of you the way you need to take care of you. Like, no one's going to come in and be like, Jack, you need to go to therapy. It's just going to be me on the sidewalk listening to a podcast, realizing that I understand, not that I understand what Jodi Arias did, just that I was like, wait a minute, I've used the exact same line to get attention from men. And again, not going to kill anyone, but it was just, we all have these moments that when you look at yourself and you go, oh, I need something, be it therapy, be it, I don't know, other things like, going on a walk, like whatever it is that you find the like, I need to take care of me. That's the moment and that you will open yourself. And it may be romantic love, but probably it could be friendship love. It could be
Yeah.
self-love. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you won't get any of those things without the working on yourself. And the men struggle. And that's part of the thing that I think with a lot of these MMCs and these books. I'm not saying that they've all gone to therapy. Rowan, you have not. But they do talk about their trauma.
Yeah.
There'll always be that scene where they open up to the FMC.
Yeah. They don't maybe know how to be vulnerable, but they're willing to be vulnerable.
Yeah. And that's what it comes down to is vulnerability, and that the modern men struggle with the concept of vulnerability. I don't want to say understandably so, but in the sense that, like, you know, society hasn't set them up for that. All right, Milika.
I forgot we have this show on the screen option.
What?
It is the first time they are being subjected to the same objectification that they imposed on women for so long. Now, they don't like that women are no longer the only ones expected to do the work. In the past, women, quote unquote, needed men for financial security, but now men are only an option. And I think they don't like that. I think that is an excellent point.
Yeah, it's for the first time ever. You men now have to bring something to the table that women like are already like, you know, more than what women are already doing. Like, you know, women are self-sufficient. So then it's like, okay, great. So what else are you bringing to the table? And
Mm-hmm.
it's usually not money. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Yeah.
usually I bring $40 million. It's like, great, but like, do you bring me emotional stability? You
Right.
know? Because
Right.
I'm living my life pretty content. Oh, so it's interesting though that when we have this idea of these romance books and you have this idea that like the quote unquote modern woman is saying, hey, I can take care of myself. What do you bring to the table? A lot of these books, not all, but a lot of these books, the women are in need of something
Mm-hmm.
financial stuff. They need a
Mm-hmm.
new job. They just got like, it's interesting that a lot of them are Cinderella-esque stories, which tells you it's playing into this fantasy of, yes, we've all been there of needing to be taken care of, but we're actually setting up these quote unquote old standards of like the man coming in and helping financially and helping with things. So it's kind of like a weird role play that we're doing in these books.
Yeah, I just listened to Megan Quinn's Not So Meet Cute.
Such a cute book.
It's a very cute book, but it does start out with the protagonist losing her job.
Mm-hmm.
And so she comes up with a harebrained scheme of how she's going to take care of herself.
Mm-hmm.
And in comes the MMC. And it is interesting that it's always the female protagonist who is in dire straits,
Mm-hmm.
who needs support. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it speaks to our inherent desire to be taken care of.
Yeah,
And it's okay to want to be taken care of. It's okay to want to feel protected.
absolutely. It reminds me of one of the points I made to the guy in the train that I was arguing with. Is that he was saying, well, isn't this taking you back a few steps? Isn't this
Mm,
taking away from what you want as women and like, you know, being progressive? And my response was, isn't it weird that we have books that are playing into the quote unquote gender stereotypical roles of men, you know, being the provider, and yet men are not stepping up to the plate. You can get what you want. You want these quote unquote gender roles, and I'm not talking about cooking and cleaning, I'm talking about men being providers. You want that? Well, look at all these books. Women are kind of fantasizing about it too. So what
mhm.
are you doing?
Right. We have laid the groundwork, the blueprint
Yeah.
for what we desire. And it's vulnerability, it's security.
Yeah. Like you can be the provider. I will
Yeah.
open up that door for you.
Yeah.
But like that means like we could all live our best lives if you just went to therapy.
So Beth provided another comment, exactly, also to not get political, but you can make a direct line to a lot of changes being pushed on us by the current administration and
Mhm.
women's independence and male fear of said independence.
Yep. I mean, women are pushing back. Like, you know, the idea of women having access to healthcare to help them in, you know, having access to abortions, to Planned Parenthood just being shut down throughout the country. it's control. It comes down to control. And then now, like, women are going to resist more. They're like, birth rates are at an all-time low in Korea. They're dropping more so in the United States. The reason why I bring up Korea, because they had what was it, the four movement? They had a movement where women were like, fuck you, we're not dating you, men.
Yep. Yep. And now they have like programs to incentivize marriage. Like the government will basically pay you to get married. I remember seeing ads when I was in Korea in March for this exact thing in the subway.
It's funny because, like, when that movement first started, I saw a lot of videos of women in Korea talking about the reason why they're doing this is because, one, of just some violence against women, but also the brazen attitude, apparently, of men cheating on women over there. Like, it's their right to. Like, why do I need to be faithful to you when I can take advantage of you?
Yeah.
And it's so funny when it comes down to you men, you get to have baby and wife if you want. Baby, wife, yours. Just treat us well. Like, that's the only negotiation chip that we're coming in with.
You know what I find the most troubling is the fact that some men, not all men, some men find it hard to understand how a woman can want and have independence, but can also want and have security and protection and vulnerability from their partner. Women are complex. We can be many things. We can be independent and a little baby. Like, please take care of me.
I'm just a girl. It's funny though, because isn't that also what men want? I mean, I'm giving such general consensus because every man I've been with wants to be the little spoon. So this is just confirming. And it's quite honestly frustrating where why have I always had to be the big spoon? Like, every man I have ever been with, every guy that I've ever dated, all they've ever wanted was to be the little spoon. So there's this desire to be, taken care of too. But then there's also this desire of me man, me protect. But they also don't want to, like, go fight every single man who looks at you the wrong way. So it's the same way that it's like, well, I want to be taken care of, but I don't need you to take care of every single little thing I do.
Right.
Like, I can pay for my things, but also it's the complexity, like, right? Like, ultimately we all want to be taken care of and we all want to have room to do our own thing.
Right. Right. I feel like I remember maybe it was a conversation with you, something, I don't remember where this was or how it started, but how, like, men want to be providers, but then they get pissed when they feel like they're being taken advantage of because
always the broke men who are like, I don't want a gold digger. And it's like, no one confused you of having gold. I promise you. But it's like, I don't want a gold digger, but I want her to stay at home working and like be a stay-at-home mom. But why do I have to pay everything? Why can't it be 50-50? I'm taking care of everything. It's your job to work. It's not even that bad. You get to stay at home taking care of the kids all day. I'm actually doing work.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Make that make sense.
I have a friend who is not in California, who worked, was married, had a kid, who the husband never paid for anything for the kid, even though he's the one who knocked her up accidentally. And when she lost her job and she started doing photography on the side to make income, to make ends meet and to cover expenses for the kid and herself, he got pissed that she was not contributing to his mortgage. She wasn't even on the deed. And it was a house he had bought, before they were married, a decade before they were married. And he would treat her like shit because of it. And I just remember being like, what the fuck?
This is my random piece of advice. May this advice go to the woman who needs it or man who needs it. If you're moving in with a partner who owns a house, unless you are listed on there, you do not pay a dime for their mortgage. Pay for electricity, pay for some other things. But if your name's not on it, you don't pay for shit to contribute to that mortgage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about what it is that women actually want. And we've kind of hinted a little bit more to this, but I'm going to go back to something that Tessa Bailey said when we interviewed her, and it's really stuck with me over the years. And that's that her stories are basically about women who say something, men who listen, and men who act on what they heard.
Yeah.
And that is the formula she follows.
Mm-hmm.
Woman says something, man listens, man acts on it.
Yeah. I don't know how people feel about Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco. That's his name,
I
right?
love it. He's obsessed with her.
So I think I saw an interview with him on some podcast or something, and they're like, well, how'd you land her or whatever? And he's like, I just listened to what she said she wanted.
Yeah.
And if, she's mad at me for something, then obviously I didn't listen.
Yeah. Yes. Even Travis Kelce made a joke and he was like, yeah, I was watching you on stage perform, taking notes. Like, you've listed all the things you want in songs. I'm going to hear what it is that you want. And isn't that what it comes down to? Right.
Yeah.
I'm expressing something. I want my partner to hear what I'm saying. And I would say yes, there's so many times I've had friends who have been like, I'm mad at him. And I go, does he know why you're mad at him? No. Okay, well, you can't hold it against him. But there's many times women will say something and the guys just won't hear it.
Yeah. So Beth says this is also why we see MMCs taking the birth control tonic. There's more sharing of partner responsibilities in fantasy fiction.
Mm-hmm.
So true. Why is it? I need to be careful how I say this. Why is it my responsibility and my burden to take care of something we can both address together? And why is it my burden to have my needs filled when I'm not asking for a lot?
Our needs are always astronomically smaller than what we make it out to be in her head.
Yeah.
We make things out to be much bigger. And when you lay it out of what it is that you actually need, it's minuscule. And yet asking for it feels damn near impossible. I have seen many relationships in my life, many married couples, and I know myself. I know what I could respect in a man and what I can't respect in a man. And I don't think I could respect a partner who doesn't step up to the plate the way that I know I can and do.
Yeah.
I can't respect a partner that isn't meeting me at my level.
Yeah. And what does that mean? It doesn't have to necessarily look the same on both sides. I mean, for me, it's about, again, have to be careful how I say it, guys. I just came from therapy, so I have lots of thoughts and feelings right now. I will say in my own experience that the places where I get upset are because there's a pattern of feeling like my needs are not being respected by my partner the way I respect their needs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all it is about at the end
At
of
the
the
end of the
day.
day, truly, it's just a matter of just what we're willing to ask for and what we want to receive back. And I think that when it comes to romance novels, it really is a blueprint of women expressing what they need. Now, are there miscommunications along the way? Are there third act breakups along the way? But at the end of the day, our FMC will express what she needs and our MMC will act upon what she needs. And in that way, I personally kind of treat romance novels as a blueprint, as a way of saying, there's been so many times I have read books and my reaction will be like, what do you mean she just asked for something? Oh God. Years ago, I had a person I'm no longer friends with, but she asked her husband, can you go get me a glass of water? And we were all sitting down at the couch. And I just remember thinking, why the fuck are you asking him to get a glass of water? Like, you're capable. And then now I'm like, why the hell would I ever get my own water? You know what I mean? Like, why is it that, not that I would have to do it every time, but why is it that I could not in that moment ask for something as simple as a glass of water? And there's been moments in books where it's like, I'll have this reaction of like, well, what are they doing asking for this? Like, what is that? And then, or like, I can't believe they just blatantly said this, or they just blatantly said their feelings. And then
Mhm.
I have to sit there and be like, oh, what am I reacting to? Because I'm reacting to something.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that that's such a great point. People get bothered by the miscommunication trope, however you
Mm-hmm.
want to define miscommunication trope, because we sit there and think it's not so hard to talk about XYZ, just talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But then when people do have those hard conversations in books,
Yep.
how often do we go, well, that's not realistic?
Right.
Or why, that they would never react so calmly to that kind of comment or kind of conversation. Like they would be more upset about it. Like, or not.
Or not. Or maybe the fact that them being upset about it is kind of a warning. What if coming to someone, expressing your needs, and getting pushback is a red flag?
Mhm.
And it's funny because I think like, yeah, people kind of go, well, this is resolved too easily. She went and expressed her feelings in this book, and then the guy listened to her. That's been resolved in a page.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be the case? Shouldn't it not be an argument? Shouldn't it be the easiest discussion in the whole entire world of you're needing something, so let me step up to the plate and do what you need?
Yeah.
And yet we dismiss those in books saying like, oh, well, it's, like, oh, this was resolved too easily.
Yeah. It makes me think of the conversation we had yesterday about forgiveness. Like,
Mm,
it's not that hard to apologize. And sometimes someone just needs to hear you say you're sorry, and
yeah.
then forgiveness is granted. Sometimes you can just say what you mean and it all resolves itself.
Yeah. Yeah. It's simple. And if it's not resolving, then that's the problem, is like who you're talking to. And I think that that's part of the reasons with MMCs that people kind of have this, when you go into, I think people love romance novels, but when you say, is it realistic? The automatic answer is no. And then I have to say, other than the abs and the million/billion and the CEO, other than that, at its core,
Mhm.
is it unrealistic? Are we asking for too much?
Yeah. So when my therapist says no, I think she's coming from a place of, well, everybody needs therapy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's always going
Yeah.
to be tension, right? I've been listening to Brimstone
Hmm.
on my commute, was listening to it today, and, came upon a spicy scene as I was driving. And I was thinking, what makes this relationship so desirable to a
Hmm.
reader? And what about it feels aspirational? And at the end of the day, you know, if we're aspiring to find someone who will listen to us,
Hmm.
who hears us, who sees us,
Who acts on it?
I don't think that's a lot.
MMCs act on it.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
It's a lot because maybe there are a lot of men who or partners out there who don't act.
And that is the like, I think it's the lack of action that too many people see in their own lives and then deem romance novels as unrealistic. No, but they enjoy reading it because it's a fun
Yeah.
fantasy.
Yeah.
But even when it comes, like, there was something like I've seen online where it's like uh w- your tropes is what says about you, like your own
Mm.
issues. Like I love a stalker trope, and I know it comes down to like be interested in me,
Yeah.
like show that you're obsessed with me. But that's because like I've always felt like I'm the one more invested in relationships than guys. And I'm willing to say that. And then I've been willing to work on it, like
Yeah. Yeah.
and be able to cut things. I can say that because of romance novels, I have been able to identify that I like the idea of a man much more into the woman than the woman is to a man. And not that she's not obsessed with him, but that the guys are so much interested. And it's because of romance novels that I have learned to accept that's what I want in my own world, is a guy who just really is into me. And when I say it like that, right? When I say it like that of saying, well, I just want a guy who's like super into me, That doesn't seem like a crazy thing to say.
No, because they exist.
Yeah.
Colleen says, I've never thought of it like that. I also like stalker tropes. I know,
Yeah.
I love enemies to lovers. And I think it's because for the majority of my life, the people I've been interested, my interest has been unrequited.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And reading about people who have no interest in each other, then finding mutual interest in each other is very satisfying.
Yeah. Yep. It's like, do we both call our therapist? Do we?
My therapist told me if I needed her, I could text her after this.
This is something that I've worked on with several therapists, mainly because, like, again, insurance keeps changing. So I've needed different therapists. But this has been like one of my ongoing long conversations. I remember after the breakup, like a couple months after, my therapist said, "Can you say out loud, I deserve love?" And I couldn't say it. And then eventually I could say it, but without conviction. And then now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, fuck yeah, I deserve love. Or I am interesting. I am worthy of this. I actually will not tolerate it. I won't tolerate anything less. I've also learned through romance novels that I do like driven men. But that's because I'm super driven. You don't have to be the CEO of your own company, but I don't think that one of the things that I personally love in MMCs are their drive, the fact that they're working on something. There are MMCs, and I will take whatchamacallit from Till Summer Do Us Part. He's not driven.
No.
He succeeded, and I actually was not, I liked the story. He was not my book boyfriend. Like, I loved the story. I thought it was cute. I had zero ooh about him.
Yeah.
Now, a not so meet cute, I eat that shit up. It's just like it's the drive. And romance novels, when you talk about it in therapy, when you talk about the things that resonate and don't resonate, it is what's helped me understand what it is that I want in a partner without having to date a horde of more horrible men than I've already dated.
Yeah, I think what I've learned from romance novels is as much as I am a provider, I like to solve people's problems. I like to solve my own problems. I find it very refreshing and attractive when someone is given space to figure out their own shit.
Yeah.
So, for example, just because I was listening to Brimstone, there's a point where Kingfisher enters a room and he asks Cirrus, "You good? Do you need help?" And she's like, "I got it." And I'm like,
Yeah.
he could have saved the day.
Yeah.
But she wanted the space to save herself. Okay,
and
great.
that's where the level of independence within a relationship comes in, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're going into a secure attachment style versus codependent versus avoidant attachment. Like, there's just so many things that it all lands within, and there's independence within relationships, and it is hot. I want to be left alone
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. My partner and I are always talking about how we get to be alone together, and we love that.
Yeah.
Beth says, "This was very interesting, but I have to leave. Thanks so much, and I hope to catch your next live."
Which is
Thanks, Beth.
tomorrow.
We do have an evening. I think we get different people depending on the time of day
I
and
think so.
depending on people's time zones.
Except for Colleen. Colleen's always there.
Colleen.
Love you, Colleen. You're the best. Everyone's the best. Okay, Ellen, where's the next beat that I have? Exposure therapy. Yes. So this, as I think I've already kind of mentioned it, like, this has been exposure therapy for me because I have been able to go through. I actually went through a plus or mid-size, specifically, romance genre, and earlier this year, and I'm about to be more open and honest about some things, which I think I've, like, talked about, but I've never, like, talked about. I have always weighed more. I have always, my entire life, never been skinny. There's been times that I, like, look back on and I was like, oh, fuck, I wish I was that weight. But even in those weight, like, I wasn't skinny, and been healthy for years, worked out for years, counted my calories for years. For the first 4 months of this year, I took a photo of every single thing that I put in my mouth, sent it to a nutritionist. I lost all of 3 pounds. And I went through this journey of trying to establish self-love. And I read a bunch of mid-size, plus-size romance novels. And there came to a point of self-love that I, again, exposure therapy, that I felt like I was ready to start taking a GLP-1. And I did it for health reasons. I went into it working out you guys can't see it because I'm wearing a jacket, but I have muscles that are developing. I can't flex because I worked out really hard yesterday and it actually hurts to flex. But like, I know I've lost weight, but no one could say that I don't have Ozempic face. I don't have, I've retained muscle. I eat really well. I force myself to eat. All those things. Talk to the doctor. I've done this in the healthiest way you possibly can. But I would not have been okay to start this weight loss journey had I not exposed myself to characters that are always worthy of love. And I had to sit there and say, okay, I am in fact worthy of this, no matter the size, because I still won't be a size. I don't think I'll even be a size 8. Like, I don't think it'll get to that. If it does, we should really research. We should circle back on this.
Yeah, it's, exposure therapy. As someone who, has only been in one serious relationship and had never had sex prior to that relationship, my therapist is always like, you have no idea what you're doing. You have no idea what to ask for. You have no idea what a normal relationship is.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because I'm not in a heteronormative relationship.
Yeah.
But, I have no benchmarks.
Yeah.
To which I can hold myself accountable and hold my partner accountable. And that's why I enjoy romance novels, not because, they set my standards too high, but they show me what can be asked for, what can be, what is possible.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for a 7-foot shadow daddy. I'm asking for
a 5'3" redhead.
I'm asking for, someone who listens.
Yeah. All right. Milika says, I noticed that therapy, mental health, and talking about problems are still mostly considered feminine activities. I find it so hot when a couple has good communication in books.
Yep.
Agreed. I have had to. There was nothing I was more afraid of in my last big relationship than talking about what I wanted, because what if what I wanted meant that's not what he wanted, and what if that meant the end to the relationship? And that automatically cripples good communication.
Yeah.
Good communication is understanding there's an outcome that you might not like, but with the right person, you work through it. And if they're not the right person, you don't work through it.
Yeah.
And I have been able since then to call out other smaller relationships, dating, that I've gone through, because I've been able to come in and have these hard conversations of saying wait a minute. So are you interested? Are you not interested? What are we what's going on here? What are we doing? And it's scary, but again, I've learned this through good communications and in these romance novels, which are known for having these miscommunication tropes, but it always comes at the very end of them saying, I was scared that you didn't like me because of X, Y, and Z. I was scared. You know what I mean? It always has this moment of communication at the end. And I keep reading stories of people who have miscommunication, who then have good communication, and it's resolved and they're together.
Yeah.
And if it's the right person, that's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so, I think this is something we talk about a lot when people say, I hate the miscommunication. Well, anytime you introduce fear of rejection, fear of, conflict, that's normal. That's life. We're all afraid of something. I talk all the time about being afraid of being rejected in
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of contexts, not only in my relationship, but in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what stops me from doing certain things. The inhibitions I feel are purely based on fear.
Yeah.
And if I knew for a fact that I had nothing to fear, if I could get over my own thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and I could have those conversations, it probably wouldn't be so bad. And
Yeah.
that's what romance novels teaches us.
Because we know a romance novel is going to have a happily ever after. So we know that when our FMC opens up and expresses herself, we know that she's going to be heard and that it will be a positive experience for her. And I think that's what people end up also labeling as unrealistic. And it's sad because no, it's not. Like, I can't think of a single conversation of an FMC and an MMC, the end of the book, the ones that they're like, I wanted you to do X, Y, and Z, and I wanted you. I can't think of a single one that's unrealistic of saying,
Yeah.
I want X, Y, and Z. Let me help you give X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like, I think when people need to come down to the core of it, other take away the abs, take away the $1 billion job. At the core of it is what they're saying unrealistic. And I don't think so. I think there are moments of when it's not healthy. I think that, there's plenty of examples of women, especially like the way that women have treated men in sports, treated men online in general. Like I think there's a lot of instances of thinking that they're going to have this magical billionaire just knock at their door and say like, okay, I'm here. And this is the part that I struggle with. It requires dating. It
Hmm.
requires a lot of no's. It requires a lot of bad guys. It's a numbers game,
Yeah.
unfortunately, and it's not without effort. And that's the part where people also think that, these books are unrealistic because there's no effort, but you're skipping the sentence at the beginning where they say, "I've been dating all these frogs."
Yeah. Yeah. You're skipping the effort because no one wants to read about the effort.
Yeah, because you're getting
Uh,
to the good part.
Right.
But I think that when you're imagining that life is going to happen when you don't have to put in the effort, that's when it's also starts to get a little complicated because it's like again, I struggle with it. I would love to go to the grocery store and accidentally stumble into someone and have it work like that. I would love God, all I want is to walk into a bar and a man to see me from across the room and say, I must speak to her. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I feel like there probably have been moments like that in my life that I'd probably choose to ignore because the guy isn't who I. And that's the other thing is that it only counts when we want them,
Yeah.
which is kind of unfair
Yeah.
to life. I
Yeah.
mean, I can sit here and be like, no one's ever wanted me, but it's like, oh, except for those guys that I didn't want.
Right. Right.
And I think that like it's just we want these love stories to play out in the most like romantic ways, and maybe the unrealistic part of romance novels are the unrealistic start to relationships. You know, walking like in Not So Meet Cute, walking around an expensive part of Beverly Hills and literally bumping into someone and entering a
Hmm.
fake dating situation.
Yep.
Yeah, that's unrealistic. Like, if that was the case, I'd walk more. But there's just a lot of I try to get the cute guy at the gym to look at me, like I don't wear makeup in the morning. It's
Yeah.
hard. Like I think those are the moments where it's unrealistic. So I think when it comes to romance novels, yes, there's some points that are so unrealistic, but at the core of it, is it? I don't think it's unrealistic.
Right. Right. The scenario might be realistic, but not what the actual needs are that are
Yeah.
being addressed.
Yeah. So I hope that's changed people's perspectives a little bit on romance novels. And I hope that not that romance gets a lot of hate. I'll defend romance. I'll defend it till with random men on the train. The problem is I was ready to flirt with the ever living shit out of that guy. I was into him. And then he opened a can of worms. And if there's one thing I'm known for, that is not shutting up. And if I
And
feel like I can
if the
argue.
can is open, you're going to.
It's not my fault. It reminds me of like the one time I was on a date with a guy and he made a comment that was pro Woody Allen. And I came home and my roommate was like, was it a good date? You were gone for like 2.5 hours. I was like, we lasted about 30 minutes before I started arguing him. And then I felt like it was my mission to lay into him.
This reminds me of, I asked you for an example of a bad interview that you've been part of. And it's the same
Job
idea.
interview, a bad job interview.
Job interview, because I needed it for my book. And your thing was you couldn't let something go.
I was interviewing with the CEO of the startup, the CEO, and he said something of like, well, you can't. I was like, oh, you can't do that. And I was like, yes, you can. And then he just kind of dismissed it. And I was like, no, you can. And I just I couldn't let it go. I had to bring it back. And I didn't get the job. Or like the one time we did that one speed dating when I kept sending guys your way. And there was that one guy and he was like, I was like, oh, my family's from Viña del Mar. And he was like, oh, yes. Viña del something. And then I was like, no. And then he was like, well, let's move past this. No, we will not. We're going to spend the next 5 minutes here with me telling you that you're wrong. Oh, we have Milika.
Yes, Milika says, I think most women are simple and easy to make happy. It's not unrealistic for us to want someone to remember our favorite food, for example. Mm-hmm. I was on a date with a guy for 3 hours and not once did he ask a single question about me. He had a great time, but only because I was the one asking him about his interests. We did not go on a second date.
I've noticed that I started doing this more on, I'll have to show you screenshots next time I do it, on dating apps, where if I say something and they just respond, I'll say, hi, I would really like to keep talking to you, but you're not really giving me anything.
Yeah. I remember years, maybe a decade ago at this point, I was visiting someone and she and her boyfriend had to work. So they were like, my boyfriend's brother will, take you out on a date and show you the town, blah, blah. But sorry, he's really awkward. This will be good practice for him. Okay, fine. So hung out with this guy and apparently he was super into me, like would not stop talking about me. And he's like, yeah, she just was so good at asking questions. And I'm like, yeah, it's not that fucking hard.
Yeah. All you have to say is, what about you?
Yeah. Yeah. But like Milika, it was like a 3-hour bop around Baltimore. And I was the one asking questions the entire time.
I've complained to my mom about that a million times. And then her and I went to Nashville a couple of summers ago and there was a guy and he was there with his mom and he was super into me and he was just like flirting with me. And my mom, like we were there and for like an hour and a half and she said, he didn't ask you a single thing about you. He just kept talking about himself and you'd ask him a question and he would just keep talking. And my mom was like, I saw the moment where you're like, nope, not interested. And she was just like, it's fascinating. Like it happens.
Yeah.
And again, ask a fucking question. It's not that hard. The blueprint isn't even blue. It's like pencil sketched. It's so simple.
Well, yeah. And it's like, oh, you feel good because I'm expressing interest in you. Don't you think I would feel good if you expressed interest in me? Yeah, it's just called reciprocity, guys. We just want some reciprocity.
Just imagine if it was equal. I mean, but those are also the same guys who are like, did you come?
Yeah, it's true.
No, I didn't.
Oh, and he's the one who invited me on a date, says Milika.
Oh.
The guy who never asked her a question.
Yeah, I think we just start calling them out. That's what I've done. Is start being like, you haven't asked me anything about me.
A couple years ago, 18 months ago, I went to a group dinner with people that I hadn't and seen in a long time. And they went around the table asking everyone one question, same question, except me.
Mm-hmm.
And I went 90 minutes. And then at the end, I was like, so no one asked me this question that you all answered, so I'm going to answer it now.
Yeah. Yeah. Just start calling people out on it.
Yeah.
Of it. I mean, the thing is, I feel like I was taught to be a good conversationalist.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say that men haven't been taught that way. This is me doing a very general, broad statement, and I'm just looking at my own family. But in my own family, women are kind of taught to be good hostesses.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you be a good hostess? Because we throw in a lot of parties. I don't know if any of the men have been taught how to be a good host. I know a couple of them have learned out of watching, and they're very good hosts. They've done a great job. But I know for me and my female cousins, it was, here's how you be a good hostess. I don't know if that's like a relatable thing to other women of here's how you be a good woman, good conversationalist. This is how you talk to people.
This is how you make people comfortable.
Yeah.
Because that's our job, is to make people comfortable.
Yeah. And I don't know if men have been taught that way. So I think it's fair to almost give, like, I'm trying to be a little nicer and give men a chance, as a tarot reader told me to, and just kind of say, hey, I would love to keep talking to you, but you haven't asked me anything. And like, maybe they just don't know any better because they weren't taught.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's also possible.
But what happens when you point it out? Are they going to get defensive? Or are they going to be like, oh my God, you're right? Or are they going to be like, what? What? If you bring something to someone and the answer isn't an immediate, let me do something for you, and actually act on those things, keep thinking about Megan Quinn, then it's not it.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
All right. Well,
I love these. You just get to preach.
Thank you to our live participants. Thank you so much for all your comments. It was lovely to hear from you.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Book Talk for Book Talk with Jack and Amy. Stick around for next Tuesday when we continue our Season of Aquarius book club.
If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps other readers find us. And of course, we'd love to hear what you thought of today's episode. Share your comments through our form at booktalkforbooktalk.com, and we might feature your feedback in a future mini episode or in a Patreon exclusive episode.
For merch and more ways to support the show, head to booktalkforbooktalk.com. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at the handle BookTok for Book Talk. And don't forget to join us by subscribing to the Subtext Society Journal.substack.com to get more insights into the romantasy and romance world. Bye.
Bye.